Oh, you light up my life. Lord, you gave me the hope when I didn't know there was any hope for me. I thank you. Good morning to each and every one. My name is Liz Bailey. My anonymity's been shot to hell for a long time. And I'm a definite and grateful alcoholic. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us all be glad and rejoice in it and stop whining and complaining. Yes. I'm that grateful alcoholic, and you've never seen a grateful alcoholic get drunk. Think about it. Think about it. This has been the most tremendous weekend for me in my years of sobriety. I've never experienced a weekend like this in my years of sobriety. You know, God gives you things when he feels that you're ready for it. And I must have been ready for this weekend because I've had a natural good time. I want to thank Janine for her letters and her calls and for her love this weekend. Thank you so much. I want to thank Demetrius for coming. I met her last year. She's got a year now. Isn't that wonderful? Woo! I want to thank Cliff and Pat. They gave me a tremendous weekend. And if you all notice, I don't miss the speakers. I go to every meeting over the weekend. And I go back to New York and tell them, I've been to 6 meetings. I've been to 5 yeah, I've been to meetings. And I go back high, and I'm ready for them when I get back there, too. And I want to thank Paul, who's just beautiful. Pat, we fell in love with each other yesterday, Pat, when you put us 2 women together, and that's strange, because I never did like women. But we fell in love. I found myself, and when I found myself, I found that I love women. I really do. And there's so many of you that I could stand up here all this morning, both of the Beverleys even. Boy, did they throw an Al-Anon luncheon yesterday. Yes, that was so wonderful. Sally and my young Alateen young man. Oh, if you all ever want a treat, go listen to Alateen, kids. Because this is a family disease, and we forget that our loved ones are affected by us. And this boy yesterday was so, what is it, CK or JK? OJ, I know I had a K there somewhere. OJ, he was just beautiful yesterday. And we gave him a standing ovation because he was just that beautiful. I want to thank my 2 dolls that met me at the airport, Tina and... I can't get a name yet. Your anonymity is well protected by me. Well protected. I'll go home and think about it. You know? But I want to thank you both, see. And I want to thank each and every one of you for such a tremendous weekend. And the committee. I never want to forever forget the committee. This committee has worked 1 year on a tremendous weekend like this. And they put a lot of hard work into it. And that's why this weekend showed me that every one of you here this morning and this weekend, you want sobriety. If you didn't want sobriety, you wouldn't take a weekend like this. And you know, it's so nice to have a sponsor weekend. Because they come out of treatment centers and they know nothing about AA. Know nothing about it. And they can come to a weekend like this and learn how to sponsor. Don't ever apologize, any of you, for saying God up here. Because God is above AA, whether you like it or not. It would not have lasted 61 years. It would not have lasted if God wasn't in it. And if you learn like me, it tells you we grow spiritually. You'll learn as you're growing spiritually, you will put God into everything. Because with God, all things are possible. Not with man. Man will fail you. But he will never fail you. And it has nothing to do with religion. Man made religion. Catholic, Lutheran, Baptist. AA has nothing to do with that. It tells you to find a God of your own understanding. Isn't that beautiful? Religion don't give you that privilege. No, it don't give you that privilege. But we come in here and we get the privilege. Now, I have a girlfriend who serves a woman. Her higher power is a woman. I have nothing against that, as long as it's not her. You know, I drank for a period of 19 years before I came to AA. I picked up my first drink at the age of 12 years old. And every one of you have got to recognize that when I was out there drinking years ago, nobody talked about alcoholism. Nobody talked about alcohol. And I thought it was a normal, natural thing to do to drink. Everybody else was doing it. And my first drink, my mother made it. She made some rice wine. She left myself and a little girl named Marion to sieve this rice wine. And Marion sieved and sipped 2 drinks and went home. Not me. I stood there and sieved and sipped. And I sieved and I sipped. I'm only 12 years old and I'm sieving and sipping. I loved it. A little kid in the school the other day when I went to speak to some students. Did you like the taste? I sure did, because I sipped and sipped. I put on a drunk at 12 that was a drunk. My mother lectured to me all night long. And I went out in the street the next day shaking my little self, telling my friends, whew, what a ball I had. I don't even remember what the hell happened. And that became to be a pattern of my life. You couldn't say nothing to me unless you drank to get drunk and passed out. And I watched me going downhill from 12 to 31. I watched changes come over me where I had to have a drink to wash, to iron, to cook, to talk. And I tried not to drink before going to do any kind of business. Oh, I've worked so hard at that. But I couldn't wait for the business to be over because right away I was headed for my drink. And I just didn't think too much of that at the beginning. But as I progressed downhill, I knew something was wrong. But I didn't know what to do about it. Nobody was talking about it. And again, I met this man who I looked out the window one night and I saw him coming down the road. Lord, he had a roll of money. I said, whoop, there's a live one. I'm going to latch on to this live one. He was the cutest little thing anyway, you know. And I went downstairs and I latched on to him. I found out it was a $5 bill around a lot of ones. But I latched on to him and I started to go in. I'm only 14 now. I'm 14. And I'm going from uptown Manhattan down to the Lower East Side of New York. And I'm giving all kinds of joints play, because now I'm selling booze at the age of 14. And it was called King Kong. The man made it in the bathtub next door. I bought it by the gallon. I sold it for 40 cents a cream pitcher, a little bit bigger than that pitcher, though. And, you know, I made some good money. I drank plenty. They told me to take mayonnaise, olive oil, butter, cream, line yourself up. You know how they used to tell you to eat a good meal? But let me tell you about that King Kong. That King Kong went all through the mayonnaise, the olive oil, butter, cream. Lord, I tell you, and that King Kong stood you straight like this and knocked the hell out of you, too. Right on down like that. At the age of 14, I'm partying and I'm hanging out. And I feel that I'm a woman. And I run up to my mom and I said, would you sign for me to marry this man? She says, oh, no, dear. Over my dead body. She said, that man will have you out in the street and you'll live a terrible life with that man. Well, I found out something about myself at the age of 14. Don't you ever, but never, tell me what not to do. Don't do it. Just don't do it, I'm going to tell you. Because there's something in my nature, when you tell me what I can't do, I will do it and pay all the prices. I'm so sorry they took it out of AA, but we used to have the word suggested. And I thank my God to this moment that AA suggested everything to me. Nobody has ever told me what to do in AA. Nobody. Nobody. And I thank God that I took all their suggestions. And so I quit school. Took sleep-in jobs. I was drunk every Thursday and Sunday. I left New York with this very man who happened to be 10 years older than myself. And I went to Baltimore, Maryland on the 3rd day of January, 1939. I was standing in a courthouse being married. And I was crying my heart out. And the minister stopped my ceremony. My dear young lady, would you mind just telling me what you're crying about? I said, well, at last I got him. From 14 to 17 was a long time for me. And let me tell you, Mr. Bailey never stopped crying from January 3rd, 1939, till he went home with the Lord, August the 12th, 1986. That was a sorry day when that man said, I do, to Liz Ulrich. Now, I'm 75 now. Could you picture what I was at 17? Whew, baby. I got this marriage license, and I'm coming back to New York. No more mama, no more neighbors. Nobody's going to tell me how to live. Woo! Got back to New York, and my husband gave up every liquor joint. He gave up gambling. He gave up hustling. He gave up going to parties, and he sat down. And I became a mental case at the age of 17. Because here I am rearing to go, and he's sitting. And he sat from January 3rd, 1939, till he went home with the Lord. And I could not take that sitting down. Ooh, Lord, you can see in my sobriety I don't sit down. Don't you see it? It came right over into my sobriety. I'm still not sitting down. And, you know, I couldn't take it. So I started to nurse my little drink through the week. I look forward to weekend drunks. Like I said, now I have to have a drink to wash, to iron, to cook, to talk. Then I watched a change. I began to curse. I watched another change. I began to fight. And I watched another change. I began to leave that house from 1 day to 3 weeks at a time. Mr. Bailey happened to be a furrier, girls. And every time I had a period of dryness, he'd make me another fur coat. And I didn't have to work being with Mr. Bailey because he made good money. He bought 2 homes. He sent 3 children to college of ours. And I never had to work. And, of course, now he made me a leopard coat. He used to make me coats every time, fur coats. I had them like beans, you know. And because every time I got a period of dryness where I just couldn't drink anymore, he would make me a fur coat. Now, 1 year he made me the most gorgeous leopard coat you ever laid your eyes on. He threw a party for the job because they all worked on the coat, 3 linings. He brought this coat home and he threw it out on the bed. And I looked at that coat and I hated it. I gave it away to another alcoholic. You know why I hated it? I said he made that leopard coat so he could spot me anywhere. Isn't that sick? Sick. Many, many people pull me up on the carpet. Why do you drink the way you do? Why do you act the way you do? Oh, I could rattle off excuses. Ooh, mile a minute I would go. My main excuse was loneliness. I cried loneliness all my life. All my life. Looking for someone to love me, to understand me, to talk to me, to do something with me. And I could not find it in the streets of New York. I could not find it in the bottle. And there again, I kept drinking. And I said to Mr. Bailey one night, maybe if you drank with me, haven't you non-alcoholics heard this? Maybe if you drank with me, I wouldn't want to drink so much and roam. See, because once I picked up a drink, I was gone. I didn't stay to hear you or see you, hear you, nothing. I was gone. And he went and bought a bottle of Gordon's gin one night, and about 11 o'clock, the bottle got like this. Now, you know, every drunk in here knows what happened to me. I panicked, because that's not going to take me through the night, or I don't have a morning drink. And I took my elbow and I hit him. I said, Daddy, would you run around to the liquor store before it closed and get another bottle? He said, not me, Liz. I've had enough. You know, cheap. Too cheap to be an alcoholic. I was furious. I nursed that bottle till 2 in the morning. Did you ever see an Indian on a rampage at 2 in the morning? Up, out, zoom! Aren't you afraid to go underneath the Long Island Railroad? Who the hell's thinking about the railroad? I was getting to Sutton's Bar and Grill to fill a Coca-Cola bottle full and to sit there and close up the place. I kept going down, and I'm watching me go down. I'm beginning to hit hospitals. Girls, don't you ever fry a frozen chicken drunk. Don't do that. I knocked the grease over and burned up both of my legs. And the good sisters had to do my legs every day in Mary Immaculate Hospital. Again, broken fingers, falling down the basement steps, and when you hit that concrete, you hit something. Mr. Bailey stepped over me and went to work. I thought he beat me. I really did. I'm so drunk, I don't know. I had to get sober to learn that the man never touched me, just stepped over me and went to work. And I can't get up with the ribs. And I'm watching me go down. And my neighbor pulled me up on the carpet. She says, I'm ashamed to live next door to somebody like you. I bought this house to get away from people like you. What's the matter with you? I said, oh, Jim and Lee, I suffer with my nerves. And you know, she suggested that I drink rum. Isn't that nice? Yeah. I left her standing in that little bitty kitchen, and I ran around. I lived in Jamaica, Long Island. I ran around the corner and got me a bottle of rum. Will one of you drunks please tell me before I die, how did I wake up in Briarcliff, New York with that bottle of rum? I tell today I don't know how I got to Briarcliff, New York. A beautiful lady took me in off the streets up there into her home, and I became a booze fighter in Briarcliff, New York. I'd put a shot in the coffee in the morning, I'd call it Coffee Royal. I'd hide the bottle, I'd shove it up in them old-fashioned toilet tanks. I'd be going up and down that tank all day, drinking that cold booze. When the lady came home, I'd be open and bumping, and the poor soul didn't know what to do for me. And she sat me down by the fire one night. She said, you know, Liz, you're a lovely person, but drinking is your problem. She said, I put my husband out of here for his drinking. And she filled me with so much of guilt and remorse. Because here I'm in some godforsaken country. I don't know where I'm at up there. And I'm fighting the booze. I'm away from my 3 beautiful children. And I decided I'm going to sit in the Catholic Church all day. I'm not going to touch a drink. I'm going to peel this lady's potatoes. I'm going to try to do a decent thing. And you know what? I did. I sat in the church all day till 4 o'clock. 4 o'clock, I walk out the church. I walk straight over into the bar. I say to the bartender, give me 1 to relax, because I'm going to peel this lady's potatoes. Give me 2 to get started, because I'm really going to peel this lady's potatoes. See, every drunk in here is laughing because they've done the same thing. Then they gave a 3rd free drink. You do not walk out on a free drink. That's not nice. That is not nice. Then I got to buy one back to look good. You know, it's very important that I look good. And then by the time I get to the 4th or 5th drink, the hell with her and her potatoes. Let's go. So, you know, the lady never got any potatoes from me, right? I came back home one cold March night, and Mr. Bailey threw me out the front door in brown bags and shopping bags, and now I'm sleeping in unfinished basements. Don't drink down there. Don't smoke down there. Take care of my kids until he let me back in. One morning I woke up with my head coming off my body. I took Alka-Seltzer, I took Anderson's, I took BC's, I put a raw egg in the beer. I did everything to get this head straightened out. I had ice packs even up on top of me. I couldn't get this head straightened out. So I reached over on my night table and I grabbed the Bible. I figured maybe I'll find the answer in the Bible how to straighten my rotten, filthy life out. And as I did that, Mr. Bailey passed my room and he says, put that Bible down, you hypocrite. Put it down. 20 minutes to an hour, you'll be so drunk. You'll be slapping the kids down. He was right. Nobody got in the way of me getting a drink. And he says, you'll be hopping a cab, and the cab drivers used to say, please take somebody else's cab. Please. It took me 3 days to clean up my cab behind you. I wanted to know who the hell did he think he was. I paid 50 cents to get in that cab. Tell me who to take. And I would be swinging a corner. Now, this is the first time I thought of suicide. Never have I thought of suicide before. I literally ran and jumped up in the second floor window because I can't get the head together. And as I'm getting ready to throw my body down into the yard, there's a little lady in the back of Mr. Bailey! Mr. Bailey! You better get her! She's gonna jump! Mr. Bailey comes out the next window. I'm in this window. He comes out the next window. I see his hands come out. He said, and please forgive me, CJ or JJ, whatever K it is. He says, Nana, will you let that bitch jump? He says, I'll be rid of all my problems and all my troubles. Please let that bitch jump. Well, I looked at him and I wanted to know who the hell did he think he was? I guarantee you I got down out of that window. I got back in the bed and I pulled the sheet over me and slept that one off, And Mr. Bailey came to me one day. He said to me, you're the nicest wife when you're sober. But drunk, you're a Jekyll and a Hyde. Why don't you try this AA? When you desire a drink, run over to the phone, pick up the phone, and call someone to talk you out of the drink. I don't hear too much of that in AA back where I'm at, the phone therapy too much. But the phone has saved my life twice in my sobriety. Twice. Call somebody even if you don't know them, because you don't know whose life you're going to touch. Believe me when I tell you. That's a nice way of sponsoring also. And here again, I cursed Mr. Bailey out. You know what I told him to do with AA too, don't you? Okay. And he walked away from me because Dr. Graniger had said to him, I want you to go home and tell Mrs. Bailey she's going to drink herself to death. She'll drink herself into a mental institution, or she will drink herself into Alcoholics Anonymous. And once you tell her that, keep your big mouth shut and take care of Mr. Bailey. Don't Al-Anon teach us that? Al-Anon teaches us how to take care of ourselves. We're powerless. I like the 3 C's in Al-Anon. I didn't cause it, I can't cure it, and I definitely can't control it. And the other one that saves me in Al-Anon is MYOB, mind your own business. Oh, that'll save you from so much trouble if you use MYOB. You should see the trouble I saved myself. Because otherwise I'd be right in there meddling, But I don't do that. I mind my own business. And so, again, he walked away from me. And he never mentioned AA again. I thank my God that man didn't beat me down with AA. Otherwise, I'd have never been here. And, of course, I kept drinking another 8 to 10 months. Watching me go down. Watching me go down. The good sisters in the Mary Immaculate Hospital, Miss Bailey, please, come to the alcoholic clinic on a Tuesday morning. It went in this ear and out that ear. And I took every situation to Sutton's Bar and Grill. That's where you could find me with the broken fingers, the burnt legs, the busted ribs. I would get to that bar, ribs or no ribs. I'll tell you, I was there. You could find me. And I'd be sitting up there drinking. You always hurt the one you love. The one you don't want to hurt. Oh, give me another drink. Smile if you're happy. Give me another drink. I could sing them old Weeping Harry songs. And I remember so clearly that my last drink, there was a lady coming to sell some insurance for the house. I had not seen Miss Lindbaum since I was 8 years old. And I got up that morning and I straightened up. It was in July. And I straightened up and I left the dust until last even. And I remember so clearly that the phone rang. And I heard the guy's voice. I'm now drinking with hard two-fist drinkers in the VFW hall. I could never stand anybody who took a drink and sipped on it for a half hour. You got on my last nerve, and I didn't bother with you either. You better believe it. And I remember I heard the guy's voice, and I banged the phone. He called me back the second time. I said, oh, man, don't bug me, please. There's a lady coming here, and I haven't seen her since I'm 8 years old. I really want to see this lady. Because, see, I know me now, that when I pick up a drink, I am not in the position to tell you what's happening to me behind it, or where I'm even going to wake up with it. I know this now. Drinking like down the hill. And every time I would be bargaining with God, please don't let me get in as much trouble. Please don't let me get drunk like I did the other time. And each time got worse. It never got better. Never got better. And I remember I went to the store and I came back. He was on the phone for the third time. He said, do me a favor, Liz, hop a cab. I'll introduce you to the people. I'll put you back in the cab, and I'll send you home to your company. I figured, let me do that, because he's going to drive me up a wall today. And I got in the cab, and I went over to the post. I started drinking. I woke up. I was in one of my son's twin beds. Now, don't even ask me how I got there. I don't know. I couldn't tell you. And at the foot of the bed, my mother is here, and Mr. Bailey's here. And my mother's got her head, and she's just going, and she's screaming to the rooftops, somebody done something to her. Somebody done something to her. And I look over at Mr. Bailey, he got his head going. And he's saying, no, Mom, nobody's done anything to her. She happens to be a very sick girl. Well, he didn't call me bitch. You know my name was bitch, okay? But, you know, he said I was a sick girl. Something went all over my entire body. I haven't been able to explain it till today. But I got up out of that bed. I went to the basement of that house, and I stayed in the basement for 2 days praying to die. I wanted out. And I looked over at my son, 12 years old at the time, and this is how I spoke to him. Richard, I can't live this way. This is not the way I want to live. I'm going to go up on that Long Island Railroad, and I'm going to jump in front of a train, and I'm just going to end it all. And I started screaming, oh, God, please help me. And if you listen in AA, most of the drunks call upon a higher power at the end of their drinking. They call upon, and he answers, because he answered me. He told me, I got to try this AA that your father told me about. Didn't he answer me? Up until 8 to 10 months, nothing had been in my sight. And I took the telephone book down, I called AA, and they didn't have anyone to send me. There were very, very few women in AA when I came. There was 150,000 members. And, you know, I went into Manhattan to Intergroup. Now, I'm an Intergroup fan because Intergroup saves many a life. Many a life. And when I tried to get up the stairs to that Intergroup, I started to go down in the bar. Something said, no, try again. I got in the middle of the landing, and as I went to turn to go down in the bar, a lady looked down the stairs, and she says to me, are you having trouble? I said, yes, ma'am. And I ran up the stairs to her. She escorted me in the front part of the office, and she sat me down, and she started to tell me about her life. Oh, my God, who talks about themselves like that? My mother said, put it in a closet, shove it in a drawer, shove it under a rug, but don't you dare go out and tell nobody about your black eyes and your busted mouths and your fights in your house. And she turns to me, and she says, you know, Liz, it's the first drink. I says, oh, come on, sweetie, I've been drinking for 19 years. She said, Liz, when you pick up one drink of any type of alcohol, it is only a matter of time that a compulsion sets up into you that you have to go all the way. Boy, did that hit me. 2 drinks on a Monday, great. 2 drinks on a Tuesday, you're looking for me. Wednesday, I'd go to Gert's department store, buy a 5th, drank the whole 5th. Oh, my God, I done found a drink I can drink. Went back there Thursday and got me another bottle. Friday, I'm knitting without needles. Have any of you knitted without needles? But I'm walking around and I'm knitting. And I've got to go get that drink to get me back in focus. And I could understand it. And she said, we do it with meetings. And I'm the one to tell you to go to the meeting you don't want to go to, because that's the one you get the zinger every time. And she said, you get a sponsor. Now, there was 150,000 members when I came to AA. Today, you have over 2.5 million members, and don't one of you ever tell me you can't find a sponsor. I will not listen to that. No. There's got to be somebody good for you in one of these rooms. We can do together what you will never do alone. You cannot do it alone. And you know, I love sponsors. Because you see, when I came here, there was nobody to help me. Nobody. And I kept going to AA. But I want to tell you how I went to my first AA meeting. And she gave me the choice of 2 meetings. And I went to St. Benedict's where my children went. And as I walked into my first AA meeting towards the coffee counter, 2 of the girls looked up at me, and I'm only mimicking them. You don't look like an alcoholic. I said, now what the hell did I get myself into? Let me get the hell out of here. And I started running out the room. I praise God for this weekend that you people kept people at the door, because this is the AA I came into. There was 2 people at that door. I thank God for them too today. They're passed on. But if they had not been at that door, I would have never made AA. Because this man at the door, when I'm headed out, slapped me over here on the shoulder, and he says to me, what's the matter with you? Where are you going? I said, those girls said I don't look like an alcoholic. I don't know what an alcoholic looks like. But I'm about to lose my mind, my home, my children, and everything through drinking. He said, have a seat, sweetie. You in the right place. And they put 2 of these tables together that night in the middle of the room, and they all sat around and they shared their strength, their hope, and their experience with me. I want to see this sign back in AA. I want to see it. But for the grace of God. Did you ever stop to think that you didn't get here on your grace? You got here on the grace of God. And for the grace of God, Alcoholics Anonymous, Al-Anon, Alateen, Alatot, OA, GA, PA, NA, EA, FA. The only A that I don't speak at is Sex Anonymous. Now, I was sent many years ago to come here to speak to Sex Anonymous in Seattle. And I wouldn't come because I don't want my sex life on tape going across this United States. I have a family. Come on. I got a family. I'm not messing up with them. See, I did enough junk as it was. And, you know, I just finished celebrating July the 11th, 1952. And I just finished celebrating 44 years away from my last drink. Now, when I came to AA, there was no detox units, no halfway homes. There was nothing that you have today. You hear it announced from up here, all the different anonymous groups that you can go to for anything that's bothering you in life. It's wonderful that you have that today. But see, AA and Al-Anon has been everything to me, all my sobriety. Lois and I used to speak together even. Lois was a beautiful woman. Al-Anon had a very hard time starting. And I'm so proud to say that I've been with you 40 years, Al-Anon, and to see the growth that you have. See, it's just wonderful, believe me. You girls and guys stick together, please. Even the guys go to Al-Anon. You need it because it's a family disease. It really is. And you'll learn how to take care of yourself. That's the whole lesson. You don't need a self-help book because Al-Anon will teach you, and AA teaches you how to take care of yourself. Now, it's so beautiful, too, to know that my husband never liked me sober. Mr. Bailey couldn't stand me sober. He took 10 years of my life, my first 10 years, and he worked overtime to get me back into the streets of New York. But you didn't tell me to stay sober for Mr. Bailey. You told me to stay sober for me. My mom didn't like me telling you I was an alcoholic. It took my mom 29 and a half years to tell me to stay with them A's, whatever they are. And I don't plan to leave these A's, okay? My oldest son that's here in California, who now has cancer, and I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to tell it to you straight, if you've got any resentments against anybody in this life, get rid of it fast. I mean fast, because it'll eat you up like cancer. And I pray for this oldest son who has hated me for 44 years. He let me know that he will never forgive me or forget me for my past. But I'm going to let you know that I came into this fellowship and I found a higher power who has forgiven Liz Bailey 70 times 7. So any man, woman, or child want to hold my past over my head has to be their problem. And I love my son. I just sent message to him 2 months ago by his children that I will take care of him just like I went back and took care of Mr. Bailey. I had to leave Mr. Bailey. He asked me to please leave him. And I left him 34 years ago. But I went back 10 years ago and I took care of him in his last days. He asked me to take his hand in the hospital. Thank you, Liz, for coming every day to feed me and take care of me. Because I've stood on these platforms for years. If you've listened to some of my tapes, you'll hear me say, the sober I got, the more I love Mr. Bailey. Woo, I love that man. And I could stay sober and look back and see how he took care of those kids while I was in the street. I could see how he put them in college, how he bought homes. I saw all the good stuff in sobriety. Drunk, I'd have never seen it. Drunk, I'd have never seen it. And how I could go back 10 years ago and take care of him in his last days and take his hand for him to say, Liz, I love you. Woo! It took me 47 years to hear that. Don't give up, girls. Don't give up. Don't give up. And so I can live with me today, knowing that I gave Mr. Bailey all the love and I made amends to him. Thank God. You do get a chance to make amends in here. My oldest son is going to be all right because a mother's prayers are powerful. He's going to be okay. He has the choice of living with me if he wants to, or I'll come to California and take care of him. But he's going to go to Chicago and live with a daughter. But I did offer. That's all I can do. And I'm going to tell you something about me with that son. He's so nasty to me. And it's, you know why? I know why he's nasty, because he's sick within himself. It's not me at all. I've lived a fantastic life for 44 years. It's not me. And you know what? Liz Bailey don't dial for pain. No. No. I ain't pushing nothing for pain. No. God knows I love him. And God hears my prayers about my son. Now, I had a second son named Dennis. Handsome dude. 28 years old. Alcoholic and an addict. Dennis, the right road may be hard, but you'll be the winner. The easy road, the price is heavy. 26 years ago, June 25th, Dennis was shot and killed. Because without AA, that chick would have never been around, and you know that. You know that. And you know she's my tremendous gift out of all my 4 children. She's a tremendous gift to me. She's had 12 babies, and 6 have died. She's got 6. I have 12 grandchildren that I see by appointment only. I let nothing or anyone interfere with my AA life. I cannot afford it for me. And yet and still I talked this weekend about a second reader. The second reader teaches us AA in home, AA in socializing, AA in your job, and AA in religion if you care to go back to religion. AA will teach you to live the most balanced, beautiful life that you ever dreamt. And I want you all to hear me clearly. I see it gets so good for most of you that you can't handle it, and you go out and you blow it. So watch it when it gets going good for you. I've heard over this past week by me going to meetings. I don't talk all the time. I go and listen. And, you know, I hear people getting complacent. They feel that they got this thing made. You don't never have it made. The progression of alcoholism is still going on inside of me. I'm not cured. No way am I cured. I'm an arrested alcoholic each day like everybody else. And for those of you who get angry with me because I have 44 years, don't you ever forget that I started with one day at a time like everybody else. I did not walk in here with 44 years. And I've worked my soul to death for these 44 years. I've gone to any lengths. I think this is my 7th trip on this West Coast within 2 years. 7 trips I've made back here in a few months. I go anytime because, like I said, I love that sign that Bill put out. I am responsible today. Isn't it good to be responsible? When anyone, anywhere reaches out their hand for AA, dear God, I want to be there if you want me to be there. I've never asked anybody to let me speak anywhere. I don't believe in that. It has to come through God and man to me. And if you notice, look how good God has been to me. Ever since I spoke for Bill Wilson 34 years ago, I've been up in the air these 34 years. I pray all the way sometimes, and I pray back. And when you put me in them little planes, I'm really praying. I'm praying. But you see, the beauty of it, he takes me safely, he uses me mightily, and he brings me back safe. Isn't that wonderful? That I can step out on faith, and faith without works is dead to me. I've got to believe in what I say up here and work it, not sit back and talk about it, and put it to work. And you know, my life has been tremendous. I've gone up and had 9 operations in 41 years. I've been to death's door 9 times. I'm cut to pieces. And I've had to take my scars and turn them into stars. I don't let this body of mine affect me and what I have to do. And again, I had cancer. The doctor gave me 6 months to live. You don't talk to me like that. No. I don't let nobody talk to me about tomorrow. No, I don't get into tomorrow. I'm taking care today. He said, give us this day. He didn't say, give me tomorrow. And you know, I'm 29 years an arrested cancer patient, and my motor's running fine. Yeah. Running fine. 2 years ago, I hope, which will be my last operation, where I was cut open and closed back. And I really thought I was dying. They put a hole in here, they put a hole up here, they cut me half in 2 again, and they had electrode on my legs going like this, and I called the nurse in my room. I said, sweetie, come in, I want to make a confession. And she looked at me. I said, you know, I really believe that I'm dying, but I want to tell you, I believe in God, and I've lived a good life. She said, oh, Miss Bailey, you don't tell God when to take you. He knows when to take you. So I said, let me shut up with this woman, you know. She wasn't buying me dying either. And in the 2 years that I'm back, like my daughter says to the social worker, go get my mother one of them alert bracelets. You know? I said, no, don't buy me no bracelet. Don't get no bracelets for me. I said, as soon as all these tubes and bags is off me, I'm going back up in the air. Do you know I've covered 36 states in 2 years? Can you believe that? How God has brought me back? 36 states, including Hawaii, including all of Canada, including, what is this, island? I went to St. Thomas. I've been to St. Stephen's. I've been to the island off the coast of Georgia. I'm telling you, I've been moving. And don't somebody please tell me how did I become a circuit speaker, because I don't know. I just don't know, because I was taught never to say no to anyone who asked anything of me. And I remember when I first came to AA, I brought he or she to my home, and I put you on my living room couch, and I took care of you until you could get on your feet. And once I got you on your feet, giving you B12 shots and feeding you, and I'd have to stick with you. Sometimes I didn't take my clothes off for 3 days at a time because I couldn't leave you. I never knew if you were going to go into a convulsion on me. And I had you in the home with my family. And I got to tell you, so true, that I've never sobered up anybody but me. But once I got you sober, I took you to 7 meetings a week and 3 times on Sunday. And again, that's what's kept me sober. I am still giving of myself. I don't sponsor anymore in New York because it's hard for me to sponsor in New York. I'm not a drug addict or a dope addict or anything. I don't know about sniffing them up, shooting them up, popping them up. I don't know nothing like that. So I have no identification with you. But if you want to talk to me about alcohol, the singleness of purpose, I will talk to you about alcohol. But if you want to even talk to me, I have grown in the spiritual realm that I don't turn any of God's children down. That comes to me. I don't care who you are. And I don't give up on you that easy either. Because I know, thank God, how sick I was the first 5 years of AA. I didn't talk about a God either. I'd curse you out if you mentioned God. Because nothing was going my way. And I suffered with migraine headaches, deep, deep depression, isolation. And let me tell you, girls and guys, I cried for 5 solid years. I had a sponsor that walked up to me and she says, I'm your sponsor. I didn't have to look for a sponsor. She was my sponsor for 28 years till she went home with the Lord. And when I'd whine and cry to her, she'd say to me, listen, Liz Bailey, AA don't need you, but you need AA. And I'd go back and whine and cry some more, and she'd say, sit on that pot or get up off it. And she didn't say it that nice either. But you see, I needed that treatment. But when you go to sponsor, not everybody needs that treatment. You treat people accordingly. I believe in the 12 steps. I usually close every talk of mine with the 12 steps applying to my life. I believe in the 12 traditions, and I'm so sick of you guys running out of tradition meetings. And that's why you make so bad for AA so many times. I see you sitting on television talking about I'm an AA member. You're not supposed to do that. If you were in traditions, you know you don't do those things. You don't get into the press, the radio, or anything like that with your name. And so again, thank God again, I kept coming. The end of 5 years, it dawned on me, and this is the part I want to say before I close here. I learned that if I wanted to stay sober, and if I wanted to be happy with my sobriety, I've got to let a higher power come into my life. And the greatest spiritual awakening that I could ever have in my whole life is to know that greater is He that is in me than he that is out there in that world. And that I found this higher power that I can talk to any time, any place that I choose. And I will not allow an AA member to ever tell me not to say God. You cannot tell me that. Because I would not be standing here this morning if it wasn't for the grace of God. His graces. Be obedient to the gift that He gives you. My gift is my big mouth. And I'm very obedient to it. A lot of times I got to tell them, do like this to me, shut me up. Because I get carried away with the joy that I have gotten from this fellowship. The life that I've gotten from this fellowship. How are you, Liz? I'm happy, joyous, and free. And notice I said free. How are you, Liz? I'm celebrating life every day. Every day I celebrate life. 2 weeks ago I made 75, and that's supposed to be the deadline for us? No, it ain't. I'm going to celebrate life every day, believe me. And I began to grow spiritually in here. I began to get hungry for the Word. Oh, I wanted to hear the truth. I went floating in and out of places. I found something else happened to me. I found that when I'd hear the truth, my hands would go up. I got a lot of dirty looks with that, you know. And I searched around until I found a church that I can go in, and that when the truth hit me, I can shout and scream all I want, you know, and I just love it. I was baptized with 25 years of sobriety, and I praise God that my higher power today is Jesus. And I don't push Him down nobody's throat. You know why? Because He didn't push Himself on me. He waited for Liz to open her heart and ask Him to come in. And so now I found in 20 years of sobriety, I found the key to my life. And that key to my life is to seek God first This morning I was on my knees at 2:30. He's first before I deal with you or anybody. He was sick of me shoving him in between people, places, and things. And I've had the most fantastic life in this past 24 years, making him first. It's up to you. It's your choice, but that is my choice. And I'm proud to say the name of Jesus, because when he said if I deny him, he would deny me. And he's never denied you. He's never denied me. He says, call upon me and I'll answer you. I'll heal your mind and your body, and I will guide you in all that you do. He's the way, he's the truth, and he's life, our life, whether you like it or not. And he's the one that has all power. All power. You hear that read to you every day. I've been listening to it for 44 years. And if I ain't got the message now, when am I going to get it? Okay? When am I going to get it? And I thank God. I admit and I accept and I surrender to the fact that I am an alcoholic. I have no choice to pick up a drink if I want to live this fantastic life. I came to believe there was a power greater than myself could restore me to sanity. And it meant that I better change my thinking and my actions if I wanted to stay here. I made that decision one day to turn my life and my will over to the care of a God of my understanding, praying only for his will for me. I've taken that inventory many, many times, because the longer I'm sober, the more comes to the surface. Today I can admit to God, to myself, and another human being the exact natures of my wrongs, and not play around with that, because if I'm wrong, I've got to talk to somebody about it. And I'm so sick of you private people. You're so private you can't tell nobody about yourself. You'll die sick, too. You'll die sick. And well, you've heard them say you're sick as your secrets. And I love it. I don't have no secrets today. I'm free at last. Woo! Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. And the guy said, yeah, Martin Luther King went to the top of the mountain, Liz, but I'd be damned if you ain't been through the mountain. So I've been through the mountain. I've been through the mountain. I'm telling you. And there again, I've had to ask God to help me with my character defects, and one of them was cursing. I'm much better today. When I say that little hell, that isn't too bad, because I even hear my priest say it, you know. So it's not too bad, but I stopped that cursing. I asked my kids even, don't ever get me to act like I was in the street. I'm not in the streets of New York anymore. I'm not even in of this world anymore. I'm in it, but not of it. I'm not doing the things of the world. No, I'm not. I'm not lying, cheating, ducking, dodging, and conniving. I'm free of all that by staying here in these rooms and dealing with helping other people. That's sponsorship. Make sure you go out and get somebody to help. Don't just sit with this gift for yourself. Be a sponsor. And the rewards come both ways. And you know, I have a beautiful sponsor today who has 23 years of sobriety. She doesn't have to have 44. She has quality, and she's good for me. And I don't care whether you like it or not, her and I do things together. We go to meetings, we go on cruises, we go to dinners, we go to theaters. She is my friend as well as my sponsor. And she's not above me, and I'm not above her. We're together. And I'm so sick of some sponsors wanting to play God in people's life. You're not God. You can't do what God does. I don't care how long you're here. See? But there again, I've had to make amends to my loved ones. There's only one person in 44 years I haven't made amends to, and that's my bartender. I owe him $2. He'll never get it. I sent his children to college, sitting on the bar stool. I bought him a new Cadillac every year, sitting on the bar stool. And I just want to take one of you to Vermont and show you the house I bought him. So, you know, he will never get that $2. And today, it closed down when I stopped drinking. Mr. Sutton's is not there for 44 years. It's an athletic club. So who are you supporting? Who are you supporting? I was supporting Mr. Sutton, sitting on that bar stool every day, listening to the Weeping Harrys. I'm telling you. I've made amends to my loved ones, thank God. I have a little granddaughter, and my daughter is a Muslim. She can choose any religion she wants. I'm not raising children anymore. And she was cooking some fish, and she said, Umi, what are you cooking? She says, I'm cooking fish. I don't like fish, Umi. I like chicken. She said, well, you better go pray about it. So she walked away with her little hands up praying. And in a little while she came back. She said, Umi, did that fish turn to chicken yet? I love that. I cracked up. I did. I'm going to tell you this last one. And I loved it. I said it yesterday to the girls at our meeting. And I see that they loved it too. About the crack in the ceiling. And the guy sent for a guy to fix the ceiling. He fixed it nice. He looked around, it cracked again. He sent for the second guy to fix it. He fixed it nice. It cracked again for the third time. He sent for the guy and he fixed it. The fourth guy says to him, it's not your ceiling, it's your foundation. Stay here and build a beautiful foundation for yourself. Because if I had not built that foundation for Liz Bailey, she would not be here today. With my father committing suicide, my son shot and killed, my sister jumping 30 floors, all kinds of tragics have happened to me in sobriety. I'd be here forever telling you the things that I've had to come through. But I could come through them with you and with my God, because I have built this foundation for Liz Bailey. I can accept life today, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. And I've learned that life will never be on Liz Bailey's terms. I've got to accept whatever God puts my way and whatever comes my way. I want you to know that my God is in it. And if it's even bad, some good follows. Because in James 1, verse 12, it told me that in this life I will be tested upon tested. And if I pass the test, God's got something good for us. And I look at this weekend, what good He gave me this weekend. Oh, I will never get over this weekend. Never will I get over it. Every one of you have shown me so much love. And I love you so much. I love you so much that I, too, will go to any lengths for any one of you. Call upon Liz if she can ever say something uplifting to you or to help you grow through anything. We don't go through things. We GROW through them so that we can see things differently and values change. And that's my spiritual awakening. My primary purpose is to stay sober and to try to help others. That's my whole primary purpose for 44 years. And if I've reached just one of you today, my daughter says, oh, there she goes to save the world. No, I'm not looking to save no world. I just want to touch one of you. I hope I've touched Muffy this weekend. It was such a pleasure for me to meet Muffy and hug her and tell her this morning how much I love her and see her make her fourth day, I think, back here. Fourth day. And isn't God good? That Muffy's got another chance at life, a beautiful life that you'll never dream. And I told him at the dinner table the other night when I was signing for my dinner, I said, man, if I give this up, I need a rubber room. I'm not going to give it up, I'm going to tell you right now. But if I, Liz Bailey, can touch just one of you, then I, Liz Bailey, I have not lived in vain. Thank you so much.